Welcome to the Natural Health Show with one of New England's leading holistic specialists, Mark Mincola. Call Mark at 617-822-1969 on 96.9 Boston Talks.
Greetings and welcome, Natural Health Nation. Great to be here on 96.9 Boston Talks, and happy Father's Day to everybody out there. Wonderful, wonderful Father's Day. Sunny, warm, humid, classic summer-ish day, the day before summer. So hopefully everybody's having a great, great Sunday out there. We're here to talk to you about how to make your life much, much greater, how to make your health much greater. You know, one of the really important issues when it comes to disease in general, a very much misunderstood area of natural health and healing is inflammation. Chronic inflammation is the common denominator for virtually all disease. Folks think of inflammation as something that is correlated with, arthritis, I guess, and bursitis, achy joints. But very few of us really know that the common denominator to cancer, heart disease, lupus, the common denominator to virtually all disease is inflammation. And here's the really important news. Inflammation is largely influenced by the foods we eat. There are foods that are inflammatory. There are foods that are anti-inflammatory. We're going to talk about that, how you can get in touch with utilizing the best of information regarding how to anti-inflame yourself, lower the risk for various diseases by eating differently than you perhaps do, and supplements, some really important, powerful anti-inflammatory supplements that can help you preserve and protect your wonderful immune system. Catherine Foley's here to help me out.
Good evening.
How are you?
Very good, thank you.
Great to have you on board. And you mentioned before we went on the air tonight an article that I'd forgotten about, a terrific article in Time magazine.
Yeah. It was, the article was called The Fires Within. It was in Time magazine, and it was a spread by a 7-page spread about inflammation as the basis of chronic disease.
We're talking all chronic disease. We're not just talking about aches and pains in the joints.
Yeah, they basically focused on diabetes, cardiovascular disease, Alzheimer's, lots of the things that are
prostatitis, hepatitis, sinusitis, myocarditis, nephritis, colitis, gouty arthritis, tendinitis, bursitis, and you can tell by the suffix that they all have something in common, and indeed it is inflammation. Of course, folks interested in chatting with Catherine and myself about these issues, about your health, about inflammation, your immune system, etc., and how to improve the prospect for anti-inflammatory health, you can dial us in at 617-822-1969. Verizon Wireless users, it's a free call. Just dial pound 969. We'd love to hear from you, of course. But, I think when you consider the options, obviously steroids are one of the options a lot of folks are familiar with. Methotrexate when it comes to cancer especially. And again, a lot of the researchers you were referring to in this Time magazine article 4 years back mentioned a lot of these researchers, a lot of these doctors are suggesting that they're using these anti-inflammatories even for cancer. One of the main focuses now is cancer.
Right. It's the way of the future. All the R&D labs and major pharmaceutical firms are studying the inflammatory cascade, so per se, and how to intervene in that. In this article, they have a quote from Dr. Robert Tepper, President of Research and Development at Millennium Pharmaceuticals right here in Cambridge, Massachusetts, saying that virtually our entire R&D effort is now focused on inflammation and cancer. So there
you go. So clearly, when you think about things like cancer, as we pointed out, myocarditis, the inflammatory response, think about the arterial clogs, a lot of the atherosclerosis, the plaques in the arteries.
And, last week, the show, we talked about GPLC.
We did, yes.
Carnitine for cardiovascular health. And one of the mechanisms of action for GPLC carnitine is reducing systemic inflammation in the cardiovascular system.
And it's so important for folks to make this connection that all disease is mediated by inflammation. We are now starting to acknowledge that in the world of science. All disease, not just the achy pains in your joints. And it's really important to also make the connection that food sets up the inflammatory hormones in the body. Right. So, people don't just randomly become inflamed and don't just become randomly diseased from that inflammation. There's a specific rhyme and reason for the chemistry. Food is that rhyme and reason.
Right, absolutely.
We're going to talk about the foods that actually set up and create these streams of inflammation in your chemistry and that set you up for higher probability for virtually all disease and what you can do about it.
Right, absolutely.
That's really important. Again, our phone numbers here, 617 822-1969. Verizon Wireless users, it is a free call. Just dial pound 969, and we're going to be back right after these messages. Stay tuned.
Questioning authority is a Boston tradition, and the tradition lives on right here.
Any questions?
96.9 Boston Talks.
There are all sorts of excuses for not saving energy.
What difference will it make if I put in a programmable thermostat?
Sometimes I wonder whether we'd make so many excuses if we knew how much energy and money we could be saving.
It just never hurts to plan more for the future.
We can all help save more energy for tomorrow. What's your excuse? For more energy-saving tips that also save money, visit loseyourexcuse.gov/parents. This message is brought to you by the U.S. Department of Energy, the Ad Council, and this station.
Did you know that just 30 minutes a day of physical activity can improve your health and decrease your risk of heart disease? Walking is an easy way to start. For every hour of regular vigorous exercise, you can gain 2 hours of life expectancy. So start walking for yourself. Start walking with your family. Start walking with your friends. Start walking in your community. Start walking. Start something. Join the movement today. For more information on the American Heart Association START program, visit heart.org/start.
96.9
WPKK.
I know, being a college freshman is supposed to be tough, but let me tell you about my schedule this semester. All 18 credits. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I have American Lit at 8:05 a.m. And then I only have 15 minutes to get to my 9:15 Ethics and Value Theory class, all the way across campus. Then in the afternoon, Calculus 1. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, I have 2 lectures that go through lunch. Sociology of Families, then Intro to Microbiology. Pre-med. And finally, I have a double lab that ends around 9 p.m. Anyway, I just wanted to say thank you.
If a kid will do whatever it takes to get through college, what will you do to send her there? Please support the United Negro College Fund and call 1-800-332-UNCF, because a mind is a terrible thing to waste. A public service brought to you by UNCF and the Ad Council.
When I do it, I feel the blood rushing through me. My muscles tighten, and I keep going back for more.
Carmen Castillo is under the influence of Dana, her volunteer trainer.
Come on, Carmen, again.
By spending 1 day a week in the gym,
tuck your chin, Carmen.
Dana helps neighborhood kids like Carmen develop interests that keep them away from drugs.
Hey, let me see your shoulder shift. Jab, jab. Great.
Be a coach, a mentor, a volunteer. No matter what it is, you have something to offer.
Good workout, Carmen. See you next week.
Log on to helpyourcommunity.org or call 877-KIDS-313 and be an influence on the kids in your community. Brought to you by the Office of National Drug Control Policy and the Ad Council.
Now back to the Natural Health Show, sponsored by Good Health Natural Foods in Quincy and Hanover.
Alrighty, as is our custom here on the Natural Health Show, we generally introduce a topic as we did this evening, inflammation. We'll discuss that throughout the program, weave in and out of the program, but our lines always remain open for you and all questions, any questions regarding natural health issues, diet, nutrition, weight loss, natural ways to improve your well-being. That's what we're here for. So Catherine Foley and myself will gladly take your calls. Again, 617-822-1969. Verizon Wireless users, lucky you. It's a free call. Just dial pound 969. And let's see, we've got Mary on the line from Hingham. Welcome to 96.9 Boston Talks. You're on the Natural Health Show.
Hi, thank you so much for taking my call. I had a couple of quick questions. Restless leg syndrome, and this is for someone with fibromyalgia.
Okay.
I'm wondering if you have any recommendations for the restless leg in particular and fibromyalgia in general.
Yeah, personally, I see those, over the years that I've been working with folks in a natural capacity. I see these as adrenal conditions. In other words, let's talk about real quickly the restless leg. The adrenal hormones, the stress hormones, tend to really wipe out our magnesium. Magnesium is Mother Nature's natural nerve tranquilizer. So we tend to really exhaust a lot of those natural tranquilizers that we produce in our body biochemically and that we assimilate. Magnesium is the foremost nerve tranquilizer. So things like magnesium, things like taurine, again, we've often talked about the magnesium optimizer. That no, it's a great product. Jar Formulas makes the, to me, I think, one of the best forms of support for restless leg syndrome, because it's not only magnesium, it's also potassium, and it has taurine. And taurine is a good nerve membrane stabilizer, an amino acid that works really well. So I'd recommend for that condition the magnesium optimizer by Jar Formulas. I'd recommend 2 before bed.
Okay.
I think that's really helpful.
And I actually already told her about Natural Calm for sleep aids.
Also really good, yes.
Is that acceptable to use those both at the same time? Or?
Indeed it is. I think I probably, in that case, would recommend 1 of the magnesium optimizers and 1 teaspoon of the Natural Calm to work together. That's probably the way to go there.
1 teaspoon and 1 of the optimizer. And then I know you're going to be talking about anti-inflammatory supplements, right?
Yep.
Okay, so I'll wait for those. And do I have the, because I've listened before, is it egg yolk, peanuts, dairy, red meat? Are those some of the foods?
Boy, I'll tell you what, you're a great student. Jeez, good memory.
I'm a big admirer of yours. And the GPLC and carnitine, those, and the vitamin K, that's that study you talked about with vitamin K2, right?
The MK7, yes.
The K7?
MK7,
MK7, yeah, because that's, I was going to say that's what I had written in parentheses here. And that was the Jarrah formula. Was it 5,000 mg?
It was 90 mcgs. Yes, I believe we said 90
that
mcgs.
was way different. Okay.
That's all right. You were in the same same universe anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, at least I had the name of it right.
You did indeed.
And let me see. For sleep aids, did you at one point? I'm not sure if this is what it was for, but the passion flower tincture.
Love it.
Yeah.
And was it 25 drops?
Yes, indeed. Boy, you do have the notes pretty good there. And the
well,
foods...
sometimes I'm not able to organize them, so I'm scattering, without actually being able to. So I just wanted to double check on those 2 doses. So I'm glad I checked on the MK7 is 90 and passion flower extract 25 drops.
Indeed, just before bedtime.
Okay, thank you very much for your time and for all you do.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And Mark, for Mary, if she needs to review or catch up or send any of that information to a friend that she's taking care of,
Yep.
She can go to your website, right, and forward the links?
She sure can, because on our website these days, we're podcasting these broadcasts. So if folks want to watch this and listen to it at the same time, they're certainly invited to do that very thing by going to maxhealing.com. That's one word, maxhealing.com. That way you can refer it to your friends, and they can watch and take advantage of the great information that you just picked up.
Right, wonderful.
Thank you for the tip on that. Thanks to Adam Ing. He is the techno genius here that puts it together for us to make that all happen. So let's see. Let's also mention here, too, that folks interested in, picking up a little bit more of this information can watch the Fox segment. I'm doing this coming Thursday. It'll be on the Fox Morning Show at 8:10 this coming Thursday. We're going to talk a little bit more about inflammation, talk about the foods that Mary actually mentioned, and we're going to list those for the viewers on Fox Television this coming Thursday at 8:10 in the morning. But again, dairy products, yes, dairy products. And folks often ask me to distinguish, does that also mean yogurt? It does. I'm sorry to say that all dairy products ultimately will drive up those inflammatory hormones. Red meat, nuts, such as peanuts, pistachio nuts in particular, egg yolks, and any really high sugary, starchy foods, a lot of the white flours, processed sugars, desserts, all that yummy stuff, because unfortunately they drive up the insulin Insulin is an inflammatory hormone.
Right. And, that's why you see in our society such a high rate of diabetes is because the foods that we're eating are basically driving up insulin rates. They're pro-inflammatory.
Right.
And, you're pushing your body in that direction.
Absolutely.
And with dairy products, our dairy products are so ultra pasteurized and there's no healthy probiotic bacteria
That's right.
in the dairy products to digest the lactose. So you're getting so much exposure to straight milk sugars.
Indeed, that's true. And I think one really big thing, there are two different enzymes that we produce in the body, that we trigger in the body, delta-5 and delta-6 enzymes. And the delta-6 enzymes are anti-inflammatory, and the delta-5s are inflammatory. And what triggers them? Insulin does. Well, what triggers insulin? Sugar. So there's the deal. Folks want to give us a call about natural health issues, vitamins, minerals, nutrition, 617-822-1969. Verizon Wireless users, it is a free call. Just dial pound 969. We've got Ken on the phone from Brockton. Welcome to the Natural Health Show, 96.9 Boston Talks.
Yeah, hey, Mark. I'm a diabetic, and I have neuropathy. And my foot doctor recommended I take alpha-lipoic acid.
Yeah. That's a great recommendation.
And thought that would help it out a little bit. And I'm just questioning whether there's something better, or am I on the right track?
I think you're surely on the right track. There's no question that's a great idea. Alpha-lipoic acid's a good recommendation. Also, back to the idea of the foods that we talked about, there are inflammatory foods that I would encourage you, because theoretically you have two inflammatory conditions, both the neuropathy and the diabetes, both inflammatory conditions. That, again, we'd be wise for you to avoid dairy, red meat, peanuts, egg yolks, sugary products. Obviously, that's an obvious one.
Yes, yeah.
But in terms of what you might focus more on, it'd be fatty fish like the salmon and halibut, especially if it's wild salmon, because the farm raised a little bit different in terms of its omega-3s. Pumpkin seeds, walnuts, soy products, flax. Those are anti-inflammatory food influences that can actually help support your anti-inflammatory properties and support your immune system.
Okay. On the milligrams, I'm taking 200 milligrams a day. Is that low? Or
no, it's pretty good, actually.
Yeah, it is good. One of the things with alpha-lipoic acid is that you want to make sure that the alpha-lipoic acid that you get is a sustained release tablet. The reason why is because alpha-lipoic acid is such a good antioxidant that once it's in your system, it oxidizes within an hour. So to get that day-long coverage, if you can get a tablet that's sustained release, you'll have sustained coverage over the whole day with that dosing. And so 200 milligrams, 300 milligrams in that range, you're doing really well.
Absolutely. Important point.
I have one more question.
Sure.
I'm taking an herb also called turmeric.
Turmeric, yep.
And I read about a study a doctor was doing about diabetics they were doing a study on mice, and they were using that. And I'm taking that for about 6 months, and I just want to get your opinion. I take, I think it's 400 milligrams once a day.
Yeah, that's a great anti-inflammatory. Again, many things in this world from the perspective of food, not just supplements, but foods are anti-inflammatory. Like we talked about fatty fish, pumpkin seeds, walnuts, soy products, flax seeds, all very powerful anti-inflammatory. Spices, like you're mentioning. Obviously, rosemary is one of the really, truly anti-inflammatories. Turmeric, as you point out, another one, a great anti-inflammatory. But I think 400 milligrams is a little bit shy. I think you want to think about probably taking 2 of those caps twice a day. I think you're coming up a little bit short in terms of getting some real positive dosage here that could maybe produce some good results. So not quite enough. I'd say 2 capsules twice.
That's good. That's why I'm calling you.
I'm glad you did.
And thank you very much. You're
Thank
really
you so much
helping me
for calling. Thank you so much, and best of wishes to you and your health, obviously. And we're here to take your questions as we have been. 617-822-1969. Verizon Wireless users, it is a free call. Just dial pound 969. We've got, let's see here. Let's go to Jamie from Brockton. Welcome, Jamie. You're on the Natural Health Show.
Health, obviously, and we're here to take your questions.
Looks like we had to, unfortunately, deep six that call because it sounds like maybe the radio is turned up in that call. So remember, folks, when you do call in, if you're listening, and we're happy you're listening, but you're going to have to turn your radios way, way down. So, Jamie, if you call back, we'd be happy to take your call. Mary from Ashland. Let's take Mary from Ashland. Welcome to the Natural Health Show. You're on 96.9
Hi, thanks for taking my call.
You're welcome.
I have a question regarding vitamin D. Recently, I had some blood work taken, And my vitamin D was 91, and my physician told me that was kind of on the high side, and he wanted to know what I was taking, what supplements I was taking. And what I'm taking is calcium with vitamin D, and the vitamin D was 800 IUs for 2 tablets, and that's what I'm taking. And also a multi, which had 500 IUs, and I'm taking one of those. So he suggested that I stop one of the calciums and take maybe something calcium other than with vitamin D, and it's very hard to find it without vitamin D.
Now, Mary, when did you have the last test done for your vitamin D levels?
The one I just took now, or before that?
The one you just took now.
That was about 2 weeks ago.
You know, one of the other things that is important to remember, because vitamin D got very, very popular this year. Lots of great research about the use of vitamin D, calcium retention, all of the stuff. People started taking a lot of vitamin D, and doctors finally started testing for it. But what is important to remember is that when we come into the summer months, when you're exposed to more sun than usual, your vitamin D synthesis is going to go up.
Sure it is.
So it is actually important to check your levels of vitamin D during the summer as well as during the winter. You're going to need extra supplementation in the winter, but pull back a little bit in the summer.
Is 91 high, though?
It's not, vitamin D is something that will metabolize out of your system pretty well. So, it's not something that's too high.
No, that's not anything you have to be concerned about. It's like Catherine says, your body's going to basically process that vitamin D. It's going to move through your body pretty briskly, pretty efficiently. I don't think you have any worries with that level.
So I should stop one of the calcium?
Well, as Catherine says, I think probably during the summer months, sure, why not? And then when you get back into September, October, maybe you add that back again.
Okay, very good.
All right,
Thank
take care of yourself.
Thank
You're very
you.
welcome.
Bye-bye.
You're very welcome. Bye-bye. Important point here is that inflammation is derived from the Latin inflammare, which means to set on fire. And important to distinguish the difference between acute inflammation versus chronic inflammation.
Right.
Acute inflammation is actually a good thing. It's the body's attempt to heal itself and, obviously to try to neutralize the inflammatory response from wounds, infections, and to flush that stuff out of the body, etc. So what we're really talking about isn't that acute inflammation process, but rather the chronic inflammation process, which is really set up largely by the hormones and by the enzymes that are triggered by the wrong kind of foods.
Yeah, and it's basically that inflammatory process just being constantly stimulated.
It is indeed. So we'll be right back after these messages. Stay right where you are.
The I-Man.
Does the president love Jesus as much as you do?
I'm not using Jesus to get some stupid legislation passed.
You did to get this job.
Imus, weekday mornings 5 to 7. 96.9 Boston Talks.
Mental illnesses are medical conditions that disrupt a person's thinking, feeling, mood, ability to relate to others, and daily functioning. These illnesses often result in a diminished capacity for coping with the ordinary demands of life. An estimated 1 in 5 American families is affected by mental illnesses such as major depression, bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, and post-traumatic stress disorder. The good news about mental illness is that recovery is possible. Mental illnesses are treatable. With early detection, appropriate treatment, and support from family and friends, people with mental illness can lead healthy, rewarding lives. The National Alliance on Mental Illness, NAMI, has been dedicated to improving the lives of individuals and families affected by mental illness. NAMI offers education and training programs, initiatives, and services for individuals, family members, healthcare providers, and the general public. NAMI's education and support programs provide relevant information, valuable insight, and the opportunity to engage in support networks. For more information, visit NAMI.org. That's NAMI.org. Or call 800-950-NAMI.
He went without food, not to lose weight, but to help people lose generations of hate. While many around him rose up with violence, he sat down for peace. When others used religion as an excuse for war, he used it to remind them of love. Mahatma Gandhi made the world a far better place by reaching out with the strength he cultivated within his soul. So, pass it on from the Foundation for a Better Life at values.com.
96.9 WTKK.
Once in a blue moon, a deal comes along that makes you say, holy cannolis, that's an amazing small business deal. Well, Verizon's free internet offer will make you say just that. Because when you sign up for Verizon Small Business Solution, you get free internet service for 1 full year with a 3-year agreement for a savings of over $380. It's a deal that'll cause you to scream, great gumbo, how did my business survive without Verizon? But free internet isn't all you get. Verizon's total business solution includes fast internet speeds, so you can upload and download quickly. Plus other tools like 25 gigs of online storage to keep your important files safe, online security to protect your computer from viruses and hackers, unlimited nationwide calling, and Wi-Fi access, all of which will have you saying, crikey, cable would never give me that. To get your free year of internet service, just call 866-MY-TOOLS to sign up. Call 866-MY-TOOLS today. For business customers new to HSI and all other bundled services, free HSI based on 3 meg service. Availability and actual speeds vary. Standard rates apply after first year. Wi-Fi available in select areas with qualifying packages. Early termination, activation, taxes, fees, and other terms apply. Offer ends 6/30/10.
Help to support research, treatment, and a cure for a type of cancer called neuroblastoma. Make plans to be at Will's Sunday Fun Day on Sunday, August 1st at Braintree High School. Bring your family and join 5-year-old Will Lacey and his family and friends for music, magic, food, and fun, including Touch a Truck, where kids can climb in and explore all kinds of trucks. Will's Sunday Fun Day is August 1st, rain date August 8th at Braintree High. Learn more at willlacey.com. That's willLacey.com. Now, back to the Natural Health Show, sponsored by Good Health Natural Foods in Quincy and Hanover.
All right, Stephen from Waltham, welcome to 96.9 Boston Talks here on the Natural Health Show.
How's it going? Question. I've been taking milk thistle for 5-6 years now, just to protect the liver. I've heard recently that you should cycle milk thistle. That's my first question. And my second question would be, is soft palmetto the same thing been taking for the prostate for the past 6 or 7 years? And I've heard that there's reports that it might cause, long-term use might cause impotence. What's your thoughts?
Well, first of all, I like the idea of cycling herbs. In general, I like the idea of cycling. A lot of the folks that come to see me when we praise their supplement intake, I usually say, look at folks, really good idea to take something for like 3 months on and maybe 2 or 3 weeks off, maybe even a month off, cycle back and forth. So herbs especially so. I think it's really important to give that liver a break. You know, it's amazing the number of physicians who are stunned to find that virtually every herb on the planet will elevate your liver enzymes a little bit.
Yeah.
And it does so not for unhealthy reasons, but it's a little bit tough because herbs are fairly astringent. They get things moving. They're catalysts. So I think, you know, they push the body a little bit. They work it a little bit, which is a good thing, but you don't want to overwork it. So I like cycling. Great idea.
Okay.
All right. And in terms of, let's see, what was the second question? The soft palmetto. Yeah, of course, because I think, you know, one of the things you want to think about herbs is they do increase, in many cases anyway, there are herbal hormonal influences that are herbally based, and certainly saw palmetto is one of those things. So you got to be careful with those herbs that do have the potential to shift and to bioregulate the herbs in the body, the hormones in the body. So that's really, really important. Make sure that you cycle those herbs especially.
And actually for, the saw palmetto, a lot of the things that we're going to be talking about as far as inflammation is concerned are really good for good prostate health.
Righto. Absolutely true. I also wanted to start bringing in a little bit of, don't forget our lines here, 617-822-1969. And Verizon Wireless users, it is a free call. Just dial pound 969, and we'll take your calls, obviously, any health issue. One of the things I wanted to mention here real quickly, though, is that there are two products we wanted to mention, as well as the dietary suggestions. We talk about eating more fatty fish, soy products, flax, and eating less red meat, dairy, peanuts, egg yolks, and sugary foods, because that's going to play a significant role in your inflammatory posture. And also we want to make sure, too, that people understand that there are really powerful supplements. There's one in particular that's called Serapeptase, Serapeptase. and it's a natural chelating agent, but it's a very powerful anti-inflammatory. It's an enzyme produced by a bacteria within a silkworm. There's actually a bacteria called the Serratia E15 bacteria that lives in silkworms, and they've isolated that and made it a supplement. It dissolves dead tissues like any kind of fibroid layers in the body that block up the arteries, any proteins that are dumped in the arteries, any calcification in the arteries. Serrapeptase is something that's been researched extensively by Dr. Hans Napier in Germany, and he found that it was an extraordinary substance for safety as far as safely removing the fibrous blockages from coronary arteries. He pointed out particularly the carotid arteries found in the neck, which supply blood to the brain, really important stuff, but useful in keeping the arterial deposits from building up again after angioplasty, coronary bypass surgery has been performed. Amazing heart anti-inflammatory medicine, and supplement, I should say, which is serrapeptase, readily available. Also, we wanted to talk about the Jarrow supplement that is the COX-2 Tame. Yeah, and it's an anti-inflammatory product, and of course the name is referring to the COX-2 gene, which was discovered by UCLA scientist Harvey Hirschman. Basically, this gene leads to the production of prostaglandins, and we know that there's good prostaglandins and bad prostaglandins. Good hormones, bad hormones as far as inflammation and disease. Right, and so the products in the Jarrow formulas, COX-2 Tame, inhibit the pathway that is producing the bad prostaglandins that lead to inflammation. So the two supplements that we're recommending for natural anti-inflammation and lowering the risk for all the variety of correlative diseases, which are just about everything, would be the Jarrow formulas, COX-2 Tame, COX-2 Tame, and I like the Enzymedica Serrapeptase. Yeah, that's an amazing company. It's a great company, Enzymedica Serrapeptase, Serrapeptase. And let's go to Jamie again, Brockton. Let's try that again.
Hello?
Hello? Hello. Yes, welcome to the Natural Health Show. You're on 96.9 Boston Talks.
Hi. I was calling because I basically wanted to know, I know someone who has, I think, am I saying right, cirrhosis? She has hardening of the liver. Yes. And she also has cancer. Yeah. So I wanted to see what's something that she could take to see if she can get cured or anything like that.
Well, no, I think what she wants to do is she wants to basically focus on enhancing her immunity as best she can. Obviously, we're talking about just making certain that the diet is supportive from an immunological perspective, avoiding, as we said, too much red meat, dairy, peanut products, sugars, starchy white flour products, also increasing fatty fish like salmon and halibut, pumpkin seeds, soy, walnut products, flax products. These are the things that are going to help support her immunity from the perspective of anti-inflammation. We're also talking about some natural products that she can actually support her anti-inflammatory properties with that are supportive. We talked about the COX-2 Tame and the Serrapeptase by a company called Enzymedica, and I think that's probably the way we want to look at it, is trying to give herself every possible advantage as far as anti-inflammatory autoimmune support and taking the pressure off the body so that the body can actually heal itself and do its work more efficiently. That's the key.
So you said Serrapeptase, and what was the other one?
Serrapeptase, Serrapeptase. The other one is called COX-2 Tame, Tame, COX-2 Tame.
Okay.
All right.
PMAC. Okay,
right.
Thank you.
Take care. All right, bye-bye. And let's see, we've got a couple other calls here, but let's give you the number 617-8221-9069. Verizon Wireless users toll-free call, just dial pound 969, and that's a quick, easy way to get through to us. We've got Kevin on the line from Braintree. Welcome to 96.9 Boston Talks.
Hi, how are you guys doing today?
Terrific.
It's a great show.
Thank you.
I'm glad it's on Sunday. I'll be listening. What's your thoughts on oral chelating? I have heard, some people say it works, but I think maybe some of that evidence is anecdotal. I recently read a book, All Heart Attacks Are Preventable, and they're saying that it's not. What are your thoughts?
Well, first of all, I've certainly worked with hundreds of people who've gone through oral chelation successfully and know a number of physicians well-trained, licensed medical physicians who actually who offer the opportunity for folks to receive oral chelation. And, when it's done properly and it's the proper set of circumstances, good things generally happen. I can tell you personal experience from my mother. My mom had a stroke years ago, back in her 60s, and they said that her arteries were clogged probably like 85, 90%. And so she went through, put her through a series. I took her to a friend of mine who's a medical doctor. We went through a series of 12 oral chelation experiences, and they opened her up considerably. She passed away at 90. So she lived quite a while afterwards, taking really good care of herself, obviously. But I think the oral chelation had a tremendous amount of support, and she also did some IV chelation as well.
Okay, great.
Sarah,
Thank you so much.
By the way,
have a good day.
You too. For folks listening too, serrapeptase is really a profound oral chelator. In fact, Dr. Hans Napier in Germany is the one who basically suggests that as an oral chelating agent, it's as effective as IV chelation.
Right.
So great product is the serrapeptase, and it really is very specifically for that purpose. We've got your calls coming in, 617-822-1969. Verizon Wireless uses it's a free call, just dial pound 969. We'll be with you right after these messages, and stay tuned.
Ready when you are. Online and on demand. 969BostonTalks.com.
We often think of hunger as something that happens in foreign countries, but it happens here at home. In fact, hunger is a silent epidemic in Massachusetts. You may know someone who's going hungry. It may be a neighbor or a colleague or a friend. They may be too proud to tell you, but they're quietly seeking assistance from the hundreds of hunger relief agencies that receive food from the Greater Boston Food Bank. Their need for help may have been triggered by the death of a loved one or the loss of a job. Lots of people are just one bad break away from going hungry. The Greater Boston Food Bank provides hunger relief to over 300,000 people each year. A third of all households served have at least one working adult in the home. More than a third of those served are children, and about 10% of those receiving assistance are at least 65. To volunteer or make a donation to the Greater Boston Food Bank, please visit gbfb.org. Again, that's the Greater Boston Food Bank at gbfb.org.
Eric Weinmayer knew the risks. Less than 1,200 people had ever conquered Mount Everest, and more than 175 had died trying. But still he climbed, not seeing the terrifying drops or the fear on other faces. And when he reached the summit, he didn't even see the view, because Eric Weinmayer is blind. He proved it doesn't take sight to reach the top. It takes vision. Pass it on from the Foundation for a Better Life at values.com.
96.9 WPKK.
Hey, Dad.
What?
I can't get the ketchup bottle open.
Here, let me try. Yeah, it's stuck all right.
Anything?
Now watch. If you take your palm like this and smack it on the bottom right here, you can get it open pretty easily. Here you go.
Thanks.
You don't have to be a hero to be a hero. When you adopt a child from foster care, just being there makes all the difference. To find out how you can adopt, please visit our website at adoptuskids.org or call 1-888-200-4005. A public service announcement brought to you by Adopt U.S. Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
The Natural Health Show is proud to present Lisa Davis Healthy Reads on 96.9 Boston Talks. During Lisa's segment, you'll learn about nationally recognized authors dedicated to healthy living. One lucky listener will receive a copy of the featured author's book. Now, here's Lisa.
Hello, everybody. Happy Father's Day. Dr. McCullough, I want to wish you a happy Father's Day.
Thank you so much, Lisa.
Have you heard from your kids?
Of course. I spent the day at the beach with my daughter, Vanessa, and I will be enjoying dinner with Nick and Vanessa this evening.
Oh, that's wonderful. And Catherine, are you having a nice Father's Day?
Yes, very good. Thank you.
Oh, that's great. Well, I want to say that I am so excited today because we are going to be joined by national best-selling author Bruce Feiler to talk about his amazing book, The Council of Dads, My Daughter Daughters, My Illness, and the Men Who Could Be Me. Bruce, welcome to Healthy Reads on the Natural Health Show on 96.9 Boston Talks.
Thank you so much. It's nice to be back with you. Different air, but same topic.
Yes, happy Father's Day.
Thank you very much. It's been a special day.
How are Tybee and Eden doing?
They're doing very well.
Those
we
are
went
his dogs.
scootering
Twin
today.
daughters. Oh, that's wonderful. You know, I loved your book so much. And in the prologue, you share this great story about this Schwinn bike, the Stingray with the banana seat that I'm sure all the listeners, I remember that, you know, if you grew up in the 70s. If you could tell us about that story and then also how that relates to your diagnosis.
When I was 5 years old on that Schwinn Stingray bike, I was hit by a car and broke my left femur. It's the largest bone in your body. And then the wonders of the world, 38 years later, on the same spot, in the same bone in my body, I got a 7-inch osteosarcoma. It's actually the same cancer that Ted Kennedy's son got. Teddy Jr. lost his leg in 1973, and I might have faced the same prospect. And I was an author, as you know, and had written any number of books, including Walking the Bible, hosted the show Walking the Bible on PBS. So suddenly I was the walking guy who might never walk again. And my girls, who are now 5, had just turned 3, and they came running in, as they look like they're about to do now on their way to the bath.
Hey, that's great.
And they kind of were giggling on the ground, and I just crumbled, and I kept imagining all the walks I might not take and the aisles I might not walk down. And I basically wondered if they would lack for my voice in some way. And 2 days later, I had this idea that I would reach out to 6 friends from all parts of my life and ask them to form this council of dads to be sort of the dad voice in my girls' lives.
That is so awesome. Now, tell me about the men that you chose and how long you've known them and some of the personality traits that you were hoping that they would have that were like yours to be able to, you know, portray for your daughters.
I didn't want to tell my wife initially because I thought we should focus on the positive. And then when I did tell her, she loved the idea, but she started rejecting my nominees. So she would say, well, I love him, but I would never ask him for advice. So it turned out that the Council of Dads was a great way to find out what my wife really thought of my friends. I ended up with my oldest friend, my college roommate, and some new friends, a close confidant. And I then asked each person if they would play a particular role. Like, you teach my girls how to dream, and you teach them how to live or how to think. And that ended up being a kind of a key part of the process because when I said, what's the piece of advice you give? Like my friend from Vermont, who's my travel dad, as I call him, his advice was be a traveler, not a tourist, right? To seek out what's different, to jump into that mud puddle. Don't just look in your reflection. Or my dream dad, as I call him, my agent, said, you know what, you're going to hit a wall from time to time in your life, but I'm going to teach you how to get over, around, or through that wall, but not to succumb to the wall. And when I sort of began hearing this advice, I realized, you know, this may be meant for my girls, but I feel like I'm the one who really needs it. And so that's what compelled me to write this book, which was to have all of this wisdom in one place for my girls, and now we're seeing lots of people want to come along.
Yeah, and I know now, too, on your website that people can form their own Council of Dads and Council of Moms, too. Isn't your wife doing that?
Linda now has a Council of Moms. I mean, the girls love it so much that they have relationships with these guys now. They've gone to Linda and said, well, Daddy has a Council of Dads. We want you to have a Council of Moms. And so, yeah, people have been really touched by this. And one of the things I'll say, since it is now Sunday afternoon, if anybody happens to tune in tonight on CNN at 8 or 11, Sanjay Gupta has followed my family around for about 4 months now for a 1-hour documentary that's going to air tonight.
Oh, that's great. Now, you know, another thing that I loved about the book, too, is you talk about bridging the community and the family, and you really bring people together in such a beautiful way. I mean, your relationships have been enriched, and you mentioned your children's have been, and your wife, Linda, as well. It's such a wonderful message.
You know, we all have our work, and we have our family, but our friends get pushed aside. There's almost something in this culture that conspires against it, and I think the Council of Dads has been a way to sort of build a bridge between your family and your friends so that to get your friends involved in your kids' lives. I mean, I think of one of my dads, Joshua. He's the only one who's not a dad, and it's kind of proved to be a problem because, like, he went trick-or-treating with my girls last year. It was 9 o'clock. I'm like, okay, let's go, brush your teeth, into bed. he's like stealing candy from the trick-or-treat bag and giving it to them behind my back. So he's like rebellion dad, and we decided that we can't leave him alone with his kids because it would be too dangerous. He's like irresponsibility dad.
That really wasn't what you planned when you chose him. I think you'll be the travel dad and you'll be the irresponsibility dad.
Exactly. And you will be, we need a chaperone for irresponsibility dad. But it's been, like my oldest friend is in there, Ben from Savannah, and his whole saying to the girls was, tend your tadpoles. We used to go fishing for tadpoles when we were kids, but then I kind of drifted from him. He's that long-lost friend, like a lot of people have, that I had really not been in touch with. And what's been great about this, I just was saying to my wife, as we bring the girls up and try to give them a bath here on Father's Day, that it's actually rekindled this relationship. So the Council of Dads really has had just as much effect on the adults, if not more, than it's had on the kids.
Yeah, now speaking of relationships, it is Father's Day. How did your relationship with your father shape the way you decided to have the Council of Dads?
Well, I think it's interesting. My grandfather was a man who left behind 28 cassette tapes, as you know in the book. Didn't really talk a lot about relationships, his wife or his kids. My dad was definitely family-oriented, but he's not exactly a man of words. My dad, I gathered in the book, as you know, sort of never eat upstairs in a two-story restaurant. My dad saying, you marry the whole family. It's much easier to bring up children than to bring down parents. But my dad makes Twitter seem expansive. It's like a lot of short words. Whereas here I spent an entire year gathering wisdom from my daughters and writing a book about my feelings and my fears and my children. So I think there is, you see in the book, not really expected, but this sort of evolution of the story of being an American man and being an American dad.
Well, that's what I found so inspiring about the book. There were many things, but again, on Father's Day, I think it's so important that men are moving towards that way of thinking, of being more emotional with their kids and talking more about their feelings and being more open and with them, and that really comes through in your book.
And I find that women have been very interested. It's like men are interested because it's about dads. Women are spectacularly interested because this is what we talk about behind the locker room door or when we go fishing or something. So there's this sort of interesting voyeuristic appeal of it to women of what men really are like. And women seem just kind of fascinated that we actually have friendships and that when we talk about sports, we actually are talking about each other kind of in a way. And it's been fascinating to see, like women, Linda, my wife, says, what you guys talk about, it's exactly what the moms all talk about when we're dropping the kids off from school. So I think that we do have an age now where dads are more involved. Let's be honest, my wife and lots of moms still complain about the dads, but we're doing a lot better.
Oh, that's good. Now, what about the relationships between the Council of Dads? Had they known each other prior to this, and what's been going on for them?
Some of them, there were some people met at my wedding and things like that. But really, this is what's interesting. Like they're men, so they're competitive, right? So like we had them all together a couple of months ago when the girls turned 5, and they each walked through with like a bigger and bigger present for the kids. And I was like, no wonder my girls like the Council of Dads. They have scored.
They want to be the most popular with Tybee and Eden, right?
So it's just been for all of us really this community, and now they're kind of playing this Council of Dads role for the other men in the council, their kids. So it really is this new community, new type of community with the kids really at the heart. In a lot of ways, it's like that old extended neighborhood where the friends and relatives and neighbors were kind of in and out of your house. That's really what this has become, but since they live all over, it's sort of done it in a kind of virtual way.
Now, speaking of virtual way, give us some information about your website and about how people can start their own Council of Dads.
Well, if you come to councilofdads.com, you can see videos of the first meeting. You can see me telling my story in a 17-minute talk. You can download a starter kit for starting your own Council of Moms or Dads. You can join up and invite your friends to join, and I have to say, even in a couple of weeks, we have hundreds of people doing this, so it's very inspiring, and I think, this was a long journey we've been on, but to see it now touching people around the world, it's not why we did it, but it's incredibly gratifying.
Now, of course, everybody wants to know, how are you doing now? How are you feeling?
I'm cancer-free. I'm full of life, and
terrific.
2-year anniversary will be in a couple of weeks, and someone said to me recently, so did you dismiss the council? I'm like, no. Maybe not the original purpose, but I can't believe I lived my life as a parent without it, and I'm delighted I don't have to live as a parent without it going forward.
Well, Bruce, I want to thank you so much. This has been so wonderful. And again, if you can give your website one more time.
It's councilofdads.com. The book, of course, is The Council of Dads, and just to repeat about tonight, if people are around the TV, at 8 and 11 on CNN, it's a 1-hour documentary hosted by Dr. Sanjay Gupta.
Well, I'm really looking forward to it. I absolutely love the book. It was fabulous. And somebody, one lucky listener, is going to get your book. You need to email me at lisadavisradiogal@gmail.com. Be the first one to email, and you're going to get The Council of Dads by Bruce Feiler. Again, Lisa Davis at radiogal@gmail.com. And I wanted to have a moment to hear, Dr. McCullough, do you have any special Father's Day plans later? You said you're going to be going to dinner.
Just going to enjoy a little dining experience, a little natural food with.
Ooh, where are you going to go?
With the folks that I love.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So we'd like to thank you both, Bruce and Lisa. Wonderful, wonderful interview, and happy Father's Day, Bruce. Be right back with your calls. Stay tuned.
Michael Graham.
Bicyclists, do you understand how much those of us who just drive live in terror that we're going to hit you? We don't want to hit you because it'll screw up our lives.
Michael Graham, weekdays 10 to 2, 96.9, Boston Talks.
Did you know that just 30 minutes a day of physical activity can improve your health and decrease your risk of heart disease? Walking is an easy way to start. For every hour of regular, vigorous exercise, you can gain 2 hours of life expectancy. So start walking for yourself. Start walking with your family. Start walking with your friends. Start walking in your community. Start walking. Start something. Join the movement today. For more information on the American Heart Association START program, visit heart.org/start.
Mental illnesses are medical conditions that disrupt a person's thinking, feeling, mood, ability to relate to others, and daily functioning. These illnesses often result in a diminished capacity for coping with the ordinary demands of life. An estimated 1 in 5 American families is affected by mental illnesses such as major depression, bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, and post-traumatic stress disorder. The good news about mental illness is that recovery is possible. Mental illnesses are treatable. With early detection, appropriate treatment, and support from family and friends, people with mental illness can lead healthy, rewarding lives. The National Alliance on Mental Illness, NAMI, has been dedicated to improving the lives of individuals and families affected by mental illness. NAMI offers education and training programs, initiatives, and services for individuals, family members, healthcare providers, and the general public. NAMI's education and support programs provide relevant information, valuable insight, and the opportunity to engage in support networks. For more information, visit NAMI.org. That's NAMI.org. Or call 800-950-NAMI.
Now back to the Natural Health Show, sponsored by Good Health Natural Foods in Quincy and Hanover.
All right, Pamela from Carr, welcome to 96.9 Boston Talks. We're on the Natural Health Show.
Hi there. Actually, I'm not in the car anymore, but I'm so happy to talk to you. I have multiple questions. The first one has to do with constipation. I have a relatively, I would say, healthy diet. I exercise fairly regularly. I drink a decent amount of water, and I seem to have constant constipation issues. I did try Trufala last year, and it worked for about a year, and then it just stopped working on me. And I've taken a break from it, and I tried going back to it, and it didn't seem to help at all. And I'm not clear on what to do. So that's my first question. My second question is I'm osteopenic, and I've been advised by my homeopath to take Calabsorb, and I think it's called Bone Up, or Bone Strength by New Chapter.
Yeah.
And then my third question is, honest to God, you need a PhD nowadays to eat. So I'm at a complete loss of how to eat, when to eat, what to eat. I've had people say you should eat melon first thing in the morning, wait 20 minutes, eat fruit, wait an hour, then have something. I mean, I don't know what to do anymore.
Well, let me answer these one at a time here.
Yeah.
First of all, the type of calcium you're taking is really important. If you're taking a carbonate, you're going to tend to get bound up. Number two, so make sure that you're also taking magnesium with your calcium, because magnesium tends to oxygenate the bowels, and where calcium tends to bind you, magnesium offsets that.
I forgot to mention that I've been really remiss for the last year in taking any calcium.
Okay. All right. So it says on our board here that you were taking calcium, so misinformation, but that's quite all right. If you really want to make sure, nonetheless, that you're oxygenating your bowel, magnesium is a great, great way to go. So I would recommend magnesium. I tend to like the Natural Calm. The Natural Calm, I would say 1.5 teaspoons before bed at night, get you a good night's sleep and tend to oxygenate that bowel a little bit, and that should make a big, big difference.
Teaspoon and a half.
The other thing I like is if that doesn't really do enough for you, there's a product called Atri, A-T-R-I, Aloe V caps, and it's 465 milligrams of aloe vera, and that will surely work. I will promise you that. I know Good Health Natural Foods certainly carries the Atri Aloe V, carries the all the Jarrow products, and also carries the Natural Calm Magnesium that I recommended. So I'd say get a teaspoon and a half of Natural Calm, and if need, add 1 capsule of the Atri Aloe V. Now, in terms of the second question, osteopenia, we talked extensively last weekend about MK7.
Oh, I apologize. Okay.
Vitamin K2, MK7. We like the Jarrow formulas MK7. I'd say 90 to even 180 micrograms of that MK7 might be very, very helpful. Other than that, I think that the supplements that you recommend are actually pretty good ones. And I think number 3 was in terms of the idea of having a PhD to determine what to eat. The good news about that is there's an opinion about nutrition from virtually everybody out there, and most of them are wrong. And the irony of it is that every single one of them has their own unique biochemistry. So I say that nutrition really isn't about, one-size-fits-all diet. It's about you tapping into you listening to you. Don't listen to everybody else. So obviously there's some basic fundamentals: fruits, vegetables, lean proteins. Let's start there. And then from there, you should just tap into yourself, pay attention to how you feel, how your body and your mind respond. If your brain and your body are functioning properly, you're probably pointed in the right direction. So if not, you need to go back to the drawing board and subjectively run through your paces on this stuff. So those are my 3 answers. I hope that helps, and thank you so much for calling.
Could I just get a clarification on the MK7 and vitamin K2?
Yep.
I'm sorry, could you just say that one more time?
Yeah.
It's the MK7 was the 90 to 180 micrograms?
That is exactly right, and it is vitamin K2. It's a specific type of vitamin K2. It's menaquinone, and we'd recommend 90 to 180 micrograms a day, and that's going to help you direct your calcium from the arteries to the bones.
Great. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate your help.
You're very welcome. Bye-bye. We've got Kathy on the line from Quincy. Welcome to 96.9 Boston Talk here on the Natural Health Show.
Hi, Dr. Mancola.
How are you?
Hi. I've listened to your show many times, and I've heard you say that serrapeptase would be a good substitute for prednisone. And so I looked into serrapeptase.
It's actually not a substitute. It's an alternative.
Alternative, okay. Well, I looked into serrapeptase, and on the back of the label it says, do not use if you have gastrointestinal ulcers. So when I saw that, I says, well, geez, Crohn's has ulcers in the gastrointestinal tract. So I said, well, that's not for me.
Right.
So then I looked into the Jarrow COX-2 tame, and a couple of those ingredients I've taken individually in the past, and they haven't agreed with me, like the white willow bark. As an aspirin substitute.
First things first, let's talk about the Crohn's. I think number one, you want to prevent the condition. And again, you're talking about the general intestinal tract, the smooth muscle in the GI. You have to be very, very careful irritating that.
Right.
So supplements tend not to work well, in my opinion, with Crohn's. I think in general, you want to go to foods, and it's not a matter of what you eat, it's a matter of what you stop eating. You want to get in touch with those foods that are inflammatory. We mentioned a lot of the inflammatory foods, the red meats, the egg yolks, peanuts, the dairy products, etc. Avoid those. Also, one of our sponsors, obviously, is the ELITest Labs. You want to tap into doing the ELISA test. The ELISA test is a really comprehensive 100-food allergy test. It tests 100 foods for each of your, chemistries, everybody out there. And you want to identify with your food intolerances, get rid of those foods that you're having an inflammatory reaction to, and prevent the inflammation of your condition. Mostly with foods, tapping into those problematic inflammatory foods, eliminating them. So addition through subtraction is what I suggest, not taking any supplements.
Okay, so start with the foods. Is that ALISA?
It's ALISA, yes. It's an ELISA food allergy test. And again, the ELITest Laboratories, ALLETESS, is in Rockland, Mass. And thank you so much for calling, Kathy.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And wow, this hour goes by mighty quickly, does it not?
It does.
And we're going to be talking more about this, as we said, on Fox 25 and the Fox Morning Show this coming Thursday at 8:10 in the morning. So folks are up and around on your treadmills, and et cetera. You might want to peek in at Fox 25 and watch us tap into a little bit more of this information, get back your way regarding where to go with inflammatory foods, anti-inflammatory foods, and in some cases natural supplements as well. Catherine Foley, thank you so much for being here. As usual, helping me hold the fort down. We'd like to thank John Parker as well, and our wonderful interns here. You guys did a great job tonight, and We thank you, folks out there listening. We thank you for listening each and every Sunday night. We're here on the Natural Health Show each and every Sunday at 5 o'clock to talk about nutrition and natural medicine. And again, you want to view this particular program, you can go to our website at www.maxhealing.com. One word, maxhealing.com, and you can watch the program or listen back to any programs. Once again, thank you so much. Happy Father's Day to everybody out there, all the dads out there. And we'll be here with you next Sunday at 5 o'clock. Until then, remember, be wise, be aware.